Hi, this is Scott with eTrailer. Today we're going to be taking a look at and installing our Redarc brake controller for our 2021 Ram 1500. If you have a Ram and it has the factory tow package installed and you don't already have a brake controller, the Redarc is a really nice setup to look at. What it does is it's going to hide the main box so you don't see that at all. It's not like your old school type that has a great big box down here hitting you in the leg on your dash. The one I set up today, this one has a little switch with a dial that goes right here on the dash. Now, you can pretty much put this dial anywhere you want it. That's what's really nice about it. But this is going to be the only part that you're going to see is this right here. Now with this, say you're towing your trailer and you've got it back there, and maybe you want to add a little more brake to it so it pulls a little better. What you can do is you just turn your dial up a little bit. See where they're at 2, we've got 4, and we go all the way up to 10. And say you want to make it stop right away, you can also push this button in and you see the red flash. That's going to activate your trailer brakes. So that's a really nice feature. And it's right here at your fingertips as well. We put it right here by the center console, so it's really easy to get at. So if your Ram has a factory tow package with it, more than likely you're going to have the wiring harness behind your dash that's going to be able to plug right into this system. So if you're looking for a good brake controller system that doesn't stick out and really isn't intrusive, this is the way to go. This one can be a little tricky to install just because you do have to pull out this part of your dash, and you will have to pull on this pretty hard to get this to come off and undo all your wires behind and take this section of your dash apart. So with that being said, if it's something you really don't want to mess with, you don't have the time, you can always take a look at our dealer locator and get it set up where you can have it installed locally for you. Or you can stick around and watch our video and we'll help you get it installed. To start our installation, we're going to have to find our plug-in end for our Redarc. We're going to have to get our panel off here on the bottom. We're going to take a look up in there and we're going to find our factory plug-in. That way we can make sure that we do have what we need to get this system going. We're going to take a 7mm socket and we're going to break loose our screws to our knee panel here. Now we're just going to pull on our panel, a little bit of pressure on each side, and carefully pop our panel off. Now we'll just pull that down and let it hang there for just a second. Now up under the right side of our dash up in there, you got to dig up there quite a ways to get it, but you will find it. You're going to find these 2 plugs and they're going to be all wrapped up in like a fabric type tape. This is the one we're looking for here, and this is what we're going to make our connection to our Redarc. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start getting to the point of where we want to put our knob. So what we can do is we'll start taking our center panel off here now. We're going to end up putting our knob right here because it's by our console, so it's right at your fingertips while you're driving down the road. You can be creative and find other locations to put the dial, but a lot of times we've had good success right here. But this is the location we're going for. This is the location our neighbor wants it installed, so that's what we're going to do. Now we need to get the center section of our dash popped out so we can get it where we're going to mount our Redarc. So what we have to do, there's a little rubber tray. We want to get that out of the way. Down in here, you're going to have 2 Phillips head screws. We're just going to back those out. And make sure we put our screws somewhere where they're safe. Now, this is going to sound scary when you're doing this, or you got to put some pretty good force on this to get this to pull back. So all we're going to do is just pull on this until we get it. It's going to pop loose. And now we need to get behind here and unhook all of our wire harnesses that we have so we can get this out so we can work on it. Now if we see we have our open spot right here in the back of our panel down below, this is where we want to get to. So we have 2 T15 screws that we're going to need to take out on each side. With those out, we're going to have our tabs. Just going to pull back, push down a little bit, on each side. Now we're going to have the same kind of thing in the back. You just want to pull back on those. With those all pulled down, this part of our panel is what we need to work on. This other part we can just set out of the way for now. Now if we look down in here in the pocket, you can see there is this plastic rib that comes across. We're going to need to get that out of the way. It is going to be a tight space, but I'm just going to take a pair of side snips. I'm going to get as close as I can to the edge of that. Just snip it on both sides, as close as I can get to the edge. Now, what I did is just pushed that over after I got that a clean cut on both sides. I just moved it back and forth and got that snapped out. It ended up being pretty clean. I may clean this up a little bit with a Dremel, but we'll see how we go once we get our spots marked. Now we have our hole cut, and basically what you want to do is just kind of make it like a little snowman, and you may need to adjust where you're at, but the idea is you have on your knob, you have your switch, and then you have your little LED pod, and what that's going to do is fit in here. Now, once you get your switch on, you can also put this in place, and that's going to help, but there's another option. If you don't want to use this piece, say your plastic's a little bit thicker and you can't get it to thread, you can always omit this part and just go with your light pod through this section here, and then it's going to give you a little more threading because this is going to countersink down into here, and you just want this to all fit up nice so you can be able to push in on your switch. So you'll be able to turn it and push on it, and you're going to be all set up nice. Now, all we need to do is we're not going to put a ratchet or anything on this. We're just going to snug this down with just our socket. I have a 12mm socket. Just want to get that snug. Now, we're going to back this all the way over to the left. We're going to find 0 on our dial. Look for 0. Line that up with our little LED. Get that put on right there. Now we just want to make sure that our button pushes in and makes a little click, and it does. And once we turn it all this way, it will go to 10. So that's what we're looking for. Now what we want to do is get our straight end. We have an option of angled and straight end. So we're going to go with the straight end on this one. We're going to go get it plugged in because when we get it popped into our panel, we're going to want to be able to get it to go in through the dash where it's going to go, without having to fight with trying to plug it in once we get this part reinstalled. Now we can bring our wire through our panel. We have our dash. Get it clicked back in place. Now we can reinstall our screws. Now we have our factory harness sticking out of our dash. Now we're going to take our connection that comes in our kit, and we're just going to make sure we have it on the latch side. You can see where it latches, and we're just going to push that into place. We want to do that before we get our box installed. Now with our extra plug that's hanging with it, we're just going to tape those together, and we'll get those pushed back in the dash. Now for our control module, we're just going to get it put up in the dash. There's an aluminum beam that comes down, so I'm just going to zip tie through it and go to that, and then finish up our connections, and then we'll show you where we're going to run it through the front part of our dash. Now you can see where we zip tied our module to an upright aluminum beam right under our dash. It's out of the way, it's got plenty of room, and we're going to be able to wire right to that very easily. Now we're getting ready to install our panel. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and run my wire that comes out of the back of my control knob. I'm going to run it down and through here, and that's going to run down to my control box. Got plenty of room to work that down and through. Now we have our wire ran down and through and hooked up to our control box for our braking system. So what we'll do now is we're going to start getting all of our wires here put back in place and plugged in, and we'll come back and show you what it looks like with everything installed. Now everything put back together and installed, you can see how nice our little dial turned out here. It's really unobtrusive on the dash. It still works when you push it. Now it is blinking green and blue, and what that means is that it's calibrating. What you need to do is drive it around for a little bit. After you start driving it, it's going to sense where it's at and what positions it's in, and so that'll basically calibrate it. Everything is working on it though, so that is a good thing. And that was a look at our Redarc brake controller for our 2021 Ram 1500. I'm Scott with eTrailer. Thanks for watching.